But that'd be fantastic, and that's what I would love to see. I would love to see these families really embrace this sport and have this sport really embrace this community as well.
What's up, everyone? You're watching Hockey Culture. This is the place where we try to change the culture of hockey, one interview at a time. And today's guest, we've got the pleasure of joining us, Arizona Coyotes President and CEO Xavier Gutierrez. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Anson. It's great to talk to you, and really appreciate it.
No, it's funny. I have all these guests that come on all the time, and we love to talk college hockey. And a lot of my previous guests has used college hockey as a way to get their education. With you, it's so interesting because your interest in hockey was piqued from being in college, the prestigious Harvard University. Tell me how that came about.
Yeah, well, I was very fortunate to go from San Jose, California, out to Cambridge, and my freshman year, I was actually at the bookstore, and I saw one of the players, a guy by the name of Steve Martins, who was actually in the league for a while, and I saw him at the bookstore. He had his Harvard hockey shirt on. I said, "Oh, you play hockey?" He says, "Yeah, you should come down and watch a game." And went down, and I was recently corrected. I thought initially it was Harvard versus RPI, and instead it was Harvard versus Princeton, and it was fantastic. I don't need to tell you, college hockey is incredible. It's fast, it's skilled, and you got a bunch of crazy college students and packed in a small arena, and it was fantastic. And then obviously the Sharks came to my hometown in San Jose and turned that into a hockey town.
I'm not surprised that by reaction by him, because I played with a couple of Harvard grads, Ted Donato and Don Sweeney, and they're the first to remind you that they went to Harvard. Don't you forget it. So I know exactly what that's all about.
They pop the H-bomb, as they say, all the time.
You had a really successful career in an industry where there wasn't that much diversity. How were you able to break through some of those barriers?
Sure. So I was very fortunate. I had done a summer internship with a good buddy of mine who had been the youngest mayor in the country in 1992. Now I'm dating myself, but 1992 he was elected of his hometown, mayor of his hometown, Baldwin Park, California, which is about 13 miles east of Los Angeles. And after the summer, I wanted to do another internship in public policy. And he really didn't want me to do that. He wanted me to go to Wall Street, and he wanted me to do a very prestigious internship program called Sponsors for Educational Opportunity, SEO, which in the mid-90s, if you were a person of color, if you were from a historically black college, if you didn't know anything about Wall Street and you wanted to work on it, that was really the only way in. And now a lot of these banks and management consulting firms have created these recruiting programs, but at that time, that was really the only way in. And I was fortunate. I really enjoyed it. It sort of changed my career path. I thought I wanted to be an elected official when I came to Harvard. And when I left, I wanted to be a deal maker. And it really, really changed the trajectory of my life and my professional career.
Well, I want to talk about networks. Like you brought up Mayor Vargas. You went from, say, politics to finance, and then you're able to go from finance to Coyotes, in part through Alex Murrell, the owner there. How important is networks and professional networks within the minority community and building those networks and the value of those networks?
It's incredibly important. And I think that's something that we don't emphasize enough, especially with young people and young professionals, is that, yes, you have to gain technical skills, but you also have to gain relationships. And there's a difference between having friends and acquaintances. I always say, it's okay to have acquaintances that you touch base with and that you ask every now and then, how can I be helpful? And you never know. There's another story that I share. You know this gentleman quite well, Bill Daly, Deputy Commissioner of the NHL. Well, the reality was that for a short period of time, I was a legal assistant at the law firm that he was a lawyer at, Skadden Arps. And we hit it off really well. He actually ended up co-signing my lease in Manhattan. We hit it off so well, and we became friends. And now here we are 20-something years later, and I'm working at the NHL, and he's the deputy commissioner. And so that's the power of staying in touch and building a network. And I think especially when you're talking about diverse professionals, we need to do more in supporting their relationship building, especially early in their career.
And how are you continuing that with the people coming up from behind you, Latinos and underrepresented communities?
Sure. I do it a lot through my philanthropic efforts. I'm heavily involved with the Hispanic Scholarship Fund, for example, which ironically enough is now run by Fidel Vargas, my mentor, and one of the leading organizations in the country to help support and promote higher education in the Latino community. I was heavily involved with the California Community Foundation, which was one of the leading community foundations in Los Angeles that invests in a number of nonprofits, and in particular focuses on this issue that I'm very passionate about, which is the economic empowerment of communities of color.
Well, I played at a time when we had a player named Scott Carlos Gomez that played for the New Jersey Devils. Gomer, one of my good friends, won a Stanley Cup with the New Jersey Devils, Calder Cup as Rookie of the Year. And I thought it was a huge missed opportunity for New Jersey not being able to showcase Gomer at a time when he was coming to the league, as I thought he was a star and he could represent that community and really resonate in that community. What things the Arizona Coyotes do you have planned to connect with that Latino community out in the Valley?
No, absolutely. I've said a number of times that we are going to focus on both the hockey fans and the passionate, rabid hockey fans, but also the hockey fans in waiting. And to me, that's young people, that's female fans, and that's Latino fans, given the fact that you have 40% of this community is Latino. And I've seen it. I've seen it happen already in San Jose, my hometown. The Sharks have done an incredible job of really outreaching to all the diverse communities in their area. And then the Kings and the Ducks. I share a story about three of my nephews whose first love is hockey. It was because the Kings and the Ducks said that we're gonna target the youth in that community, and that's a lot of the youth is Latino. So in terms of what we want to do, it's starting with first outreaching to that community, all those three cohorts that I just mentioned. Second is to say, you're a part of what we want to accomplish as an organization, as a team. And we're going to utilize technology to connect with them, to provide content to them, and to make them feel engaged with us. So those are some of the areas that we're going to really pursue.
Would you guys even think about going deeper within it, maybe having Spanish broadcasts? A good friend of hockey culture is Hanarayan Singh. He's a major voice in Canada for Hockey Night in Canada, Punjabi, and he said that it's really helped connect that community in Canada, understand the game of hockey. Is that something that you would sort of target in Arizona to try to improve acceptance of the game of hockey within the Latino community?
Sure. I mean, we're exploring it all, whether it's broadcast on radio, whether it's streaming, whether it's over the television. One thing that you're going to get from us, especially with the Latino communities, we're going to be authentic, and we're going to reach out to them both culturally relevant, but also in language. And ironically, it's both in Spanish and English. I tell people all the time, if you're an 18-year-old having grown up in this community of Arizona, you tend to speak English. I mean, you also speak Spanish, but you also speak English for the most part, and you're English dominant. And so it's about being culturally relevant and culturally appropriate. And part of that is language, but it's more than that.
I've spoken to Diego de la Garma several times, him and his family. He's the coach of the Mexican Ice Hockey Federation, the junior team. I spent a lot of time with him in El Paso past last fall, and he said ball hockey is something that they were considering to try to increase participation south of the border. Is that something that you guys be looking to do there in Arizona too? Because it doesn't snow, let's face it, in Arizona like it might snow in the Northeast, but you could still play ball hockey 12 months out of the year, and it's a nice way to introduce people into the game of hockey.
Absolutely. Well, Anson, you're coming up with some really great ideas and some great people for me to connect with. So I would appreciate some of those introductions, because those are exactly the type of folks that I want to get to know, that our organization wants to have a relationship with. And to your question specifically, absolutely. We think that hockey is a sport that resonates with the Latino community, with the Latin American community, because it is fast, it is about skill, it's about passion, and it's also something you can bring your entire family to. And that's a very, very important aspect for us. Is we're very communal. We like to share. We like to be with these large families. And my wife's the youngest of 8, and I can only imagine the number of tickets I'm going to have to get when we go to play the Kings. I'm trying to figure. I've already told Luc Robitaille that I might just need a section And but that'd be fantastic, and that's what I would love to see. I would love to see these families really embrace this sport and have this sport really embrace this community as well.
We said 8. You might have to make those 9 tickets. I might be hitting you up for tickets too.
Oh, absolutely.
To watch some games. And you always say that diverse perspectives makes for better decision making. How do you plan on making the decision making within the Coyotes organization better using that same philosophy?
Sure. Well, it does start with looking at who you have at the table. And certainly we are looking at the team that we have and the team that we want to have. And there's clearly some folks that we would like to have here and lend their voices to our thoughts and to our thought making. So it starts with that. But it also starts by saying it's not just about, racial or gender or ethnic diversity. It's also different backgrounds, right? When I've been in the deal making space over the last 20 years, people who come from different industries, people who come from different geographies, people who come from different countries, they add, their own personal history, their own personal perspective, their own pattern recognition, which is another thing that I talk a lot about, and professional athletes get that when it becomes innate, what happens, because they see things differently from a different angle, from a different perspective. It makes for better decisions. It makes for better, results.
And where do you see the Coyotes in the next 5 to 10 years? You're coming in a unique time. There's so much turmoil with social justice in the world. You've got the global pandemic happening. It's not the ideal time to be switching industries. But you said, you know what? To heck with all that stuff. I see this as being a great opportunity. Take me out 5 to 10 years from now, Javier, and tell me exactly where you see the Arizona Coyotes.
Gosh, I got to tell you, I'm really excited. Yes, this is not how you would script it. Middle of a pandemic, the season is shortened. But look at what we're talking about. We're talking about returning to play. We're talking about the Coyotes in the postseason for the first time in 8 years. And we're talking about it in a market and a community that's growing, right? You're talking about population growth, corporate growth. So where we see this is we see this as being, we want to position ourselves as a model sports franchise and a model business enterprise, an enterprise that wins on the ice and wins off the ice. We have a fantastic young core team that we're really excited about seeing what they can do, not only in this run for the Cup, but in the medium term and in the long term. And in terms of us as an organization, we want to be at the vanguard of 2 things. One, the confluence of sports, technology, media, entertainment, gaming, gambling, all these types of factors. But the second, Anson, and I really appreciate what you're doing with these conversations, is we want to be at the forefront of what the sports fan looks like in America, in Canada. And, it's evolving, and we need to evolve with it as a sports enterprise. And so we want to be at the forefront of bringing in females, of bringing in multicultural fans, of bringing in families. And so when I look at what is possible in the next 5 years, 5 to 10 years, us being thought leaders, us being helping create that momentum and that impact, that's what we're aiming for.
And so much salary cap world sports, especially the NHL, is about drafting your young players and developing those young players and hoping they become regular contributors over the course of their career. But also a big part of that is sprinkling in some free agents and trying to add to that mix. I played for a lot of different organizations, so I'm a big believer. There isn't such thing as a bad NHL city. I think it's about the organization itself. Now, if I'm a free agent, I want you to sell me, or no, sell the fans out there. You have to sell me because I know how great Arizona is. Sell the fans out there about the positives and how great it is to play and put on that Coyotes jersey.
Oh, you hit the nail on the head. This is a wonderful place to live. I mean, you can live here. Yes, it gets a little hot. There's no doubt about that. But, you just do things in the morning and you do things at night. As someone who has lived here for all of 8 weeks in the middle of the summer, I can attest to that. But it is a wonderful place. And I got to tell you, the people here are amazing. And Anson, this is a hockey town. I was shocked. I was shocked to see, the youth hockey participation. This is one of the best youth hockey markets in the country. And you have so many of your former colleagues and so many NHL alumni who choose to live here after they're done playing. So this is an incredible hockey community. And in terms of, us as an organization, I got to tell you, it starts from the top. Alex Morello, a trailblazer in his own right as the first Latino owner in the NHL. I mean, he has had a 40-year career, as a business executive in a bunch of industries, everything from media, radio, television, to banking, financial services, to owning a casino on the Vegas Strip. And now, obviously, the Coyotes, which I know is near and dear to his heart and to his family's heart. It starts with stability in the ownership. And then now you have a leadership team that's coming in to create what we believe will be a model sports franchise that is innovative, that is transformative, that utilizes technology not only in our business processes, but how we do things as a hockey team. And so when you're thinking about what the future looks like of sports, what the future looks like of hockey, we are going to be squarely right in the middle of all that. And so that's why anybody would want to be part of this not only market, but of this enterprise. Are you sold? I got you, Anson.
You have to sell me. Trust me. If I had to buy a house tomorrow, I'm buying it in Arizona. Listen, I live in Atlanta in the summertime, so I know what hot's all about. It's hot Atlanta here. But I want to remind fans that in November, December, Arizona's pretty nice.
Absolutely. The Canadians know that because they flocked here. Like, I've been shocked.
I mean, you touched on Alex Morello a little bit. How important is that ownership? I get calls frequently about people sending out feelers if I'd be interested in work with an NHL team, and it comes down to the right ownership opportunity. Like, do you feel that additional eyes are on you both because you come from a community that really hasn't been represented in the National Hockey League at that level before?
Sure. Well, I've been asked that question. Do we feel pressure? Does Alex feel pressure? Do I feel pressure? The reality is we see it as an opportunity. Mm-hmm. We see it as an opportunity to first thank those that have opened the doors for us to be in these positions. I certainly thank Alex, starting with Alex, right? My relationship with him dates back over a decade. And when he bought this team, I know what it means to him and his family. We, obviously started having conversations about his vision and how he wanted to execute. And that led to an offer to move my family from Los Angeles to Arizona in the middle of a pandemic. And so I did, because I really believe in him. I believe in his track record of success, how he treats this as one organization, as he often says. You don't work for me, you work with me. And he really instills that in people. So it's incredibly important, Anson, in any business, in any enterprise, whether it's for-profit, nonprofit. The person at the top sets the vision, sets the goals, puts the team in the right place to succeed, and then gives them the resources and the support. And it's not that they do it. They build the opportunity and the platform for others to succeed in doing what it is that you want to do. So it's incredibly important.
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, I can't thank you enough, on behalf of hockey culture and the folks here at NBC Sports. Instead of speaking to us, you're speaking with us. So I understand that message wholeheartedly. And with hockey, I want to see change. And change usually starts at the top of the food chain. Like, we could talk all we want as players and as scouts and fans, but if change doesn't start happening at the top of the food chain, it doesn't really happen, because you need to have those diverse voices, like you've said on several times, at the table, sitting down and having yourself and having Alex Morello being there. I'm excited. I'm pumped. I can't wait to watch you guys. I know the Arizona Coyotes are a team that's well positioned to have success, not just now, but in the future. So I wish you the best of luck. I want to thank you again for joining us today on Hockey Culture.
Thank you, Anson. I love what you're doing. Thank you for doing it. It's important to have diverse voices in decision-making positions. And by you recognizing that, by you supporting that and promoting that, I think you're having an incredible impact. So thank you so much.
Thank you. You're very welcome. And like I said, I'm going to hit you up for some tickets, so make sure you keep them. And not up the nosebleeds either. I want some ringside seats.
I'll put you right up on the glass. You're used to that. You got it.
Awesome. Thank you again. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.